Welcome to Harbinger's flagship interactive webinar, Power Hour.
Ensure you have selected the right speaker for audio output. Test your speaker to ensure it is working fine from the audio settings option on the lower left corner of your screen. If necessary, dial in using phone.
Let's tune in.
Hello everyone, I'm Vikal Nirmal. I'm the moderator for today's exciting event. I would firstly like to thank you for taking time out to attend this interactive learning power hour session hosted by Harbinger. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, I'd like to inform you that Power Hour is a series of interactive roundtable discussion hosted by Harbinger, where industry stalwarts share their experiences and insights on a particular topic. The topic for today's discussion is designing customer learning experience to drive the business growth. And if you are someone who wants to understand how you can design unique and effective customer experience before, during, and after providing these services, it is important to focus on customer education, which helps retain customer-centric, which helps retain customers, engage them at point of need, drive product usage and adoption. As per the Forrester research, the e-learning guild, companies that prioritize customer experience have higher revenue growth than those who don't. With that, I'll like to introduce our host for today's event, today's roundtable, Anuj Pillai. Anuj is the Associate Director with Harbinger Group. Anuj is a solution-oriented business development professional who intends to transform workplaces with e-learning. He's curious about future of learning and the use of technology in learning and development. With more than 15 years of experience, predominantly in selling e-learning and technology services, he works with clients to create measurable impact in their organization to ultimately optimize cost and reach their revenue growth. I welcome Anuj, and Anuj, the stage is all yours.
Thank you, Vikal, and a big hello to all of you. We have a great audience of professionals today and an outstanding panel of experts. Before introducing the panel, I'll take a few minutes to set the context of this Power Hour. So here's the game plan for today. We are going to start by trying to understand what customer experience and customer learning experience is. And then with the help of our panelists, we are going to dive deep into this subject by firstly understanding the strategic value that customer learning experience can bring to you to drive your business growth. Then we get on to the how question. We will cover two important aspects. One is the content design aspect, and the second one is the technology aspect in customer learning experience, that any organization would need to successfully execute the CX strategy. At the end, we look at how to measure CX effectiveness to be sure that your investments are bringing measurable results in terms of business growth. So does that sound like a plan? Let's get right into it. First and foremost, what is customer experience? So Adobe website mentions that customer experience is the holistic experience of a customer with a brand, including every interaction, whether in person or online. So by interaction, what we could say is these are the touch points, of customers with your brand. So customer experience is not just a transaction, but rather it's a relationship between the brand and its customers. Well, let me ask a question to our audience here. And the question is, would you pay more for a memorable experience provided by a brand that you already like? Assuming that the quality is already good, would you pay more for the experience? And well, in the coming years, your customers most certainly will. So more than the price or the quality of your product, experiences that spark powerful emotions will shape the buying patterns and the brand loyalty. Let us consider a few facts here. So research by Sitecore says that 67% of customers will pay more for a great experience even though the product or service being offered is already of a high quality or a high value. It also mentions that the lifetime value of customer is significantly higher, wherein customers have an emotional connection with the brand. And when the problems that the customers face typically is service related, as opposed to the product or the price, they are likely to turn into your competitor. So worth giving it a thought, right? Yeah. We spoke about, we discussed about customer experience. Now let us discuss what customer learning experience is and how does customer learning experience fit into the context of customer experience. So customer learning experience is an important aspect, so to say, which is related to customer experience. And it refers to the process of educating your customers about your product or service, and also helping them on how to use your product or service effectively. And why is this really important to educate your customers on how to use your product or service effectively, right? So let's find out. Well, the answer to that is it drives business growth, and that's why we all are here for, right? And let me outline a few important points. Can you hear me?
Sure. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Just a second, there was some glitch here. Okay. Yeah, so let me outline a few important points on how customer learning experience drives business growth. Firstly, it increases product adoption and usage, right? And it does that by providing clear instructions to users on how to use your product or service to its full potential, and that's important. And what this does is, if your customers use your products to full potential, the customer confidence goes up and goes high. And this kind of has a rolling ball effect, as it reduces customer churn and facilitates your reorders and renewals, and overall, help you achieve a predictable revenue. Correct. Also, and this is also important point, that further, enrolling your customer into deeper ecosystem. What I mean by that is, if your company has a line of products or a suite of products, and if the customer purchases one of your product and the CX is good and the CLX is good, they would buy more of your products from your ecosystem, and that makes it that much harder for the customer to opt out and not renew, from your ecosystem. So I hope you would agree to this. With that, let's have a quick poll. We have a question for our audience, and this is a poll. The question is, how do you design your CX strategies? And we have a few options for you. Is it by surveying and studying customer behavioral patterns? Is it monitoring social media for customer feedback? Attending industry events to learn about CX trends? Is it collaborating with third-party research firms for customer insights? Or is it by using artificial intelligence and machine learning to anticipate and meet your customer needs? Or is it a combination, or is it all of the above? So can we launch the poll here? So audience, you would have the poll on your screen. You could start by opting, and this is a multiple choice. You could select multiple options as well. We'll provide about 30 seconds here for you to, answer the poll.
Well, I already started seeing some good results.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's give another 30 seconds, Vikalp.
Sure. We are at last 10 seconds. Anybody who still needs to vote?
Right.
All right, I'll end the poll now.
Perfect. Can we share the results as well to the audience? So I hope the audience is able to see the results on the screen, and here are the results. So 60% of you have said that, you design your CX strategy by surveying and studying customers' behavioral patterns. And this is very much true. If I may say, if we consider the history of customer experience, it all started by surveying the customers, but fast forward today, it's all about how we use technology and data to get the analytics out of it to improve your CX. But overall, the first answer has the highest opt-in, and the other answers have also a fair amount of opt-ins. So I would say that from the survey results, it would be safe to draw an inference that taking a holistic approach to CX would be beneficial, especially in the new age as of today, with the incoming new technologies that we have, that we could use. So thank you again, audience, for participating in this survey. With that, so with that, it's a perfect time to engage our panelists. I would like to start by welcoming Master Viku. Viku heads the worldwide solution partner ecosystem and solution architect function for Adobe Learning Manager at Adobe. He brings over a decade of experience in learning solutions, and he's passionate about learning and experience domains. And he also loves working with organizations globally to solve industry niche use cases with innovative technology solution. That's what he and his company does. So we welcome you, Viku, and if you could let us know what makes you interested in this topic.
Thank you, Anuj, for having me. This is an interesting topic. So anything to do with customer always excites me because probably, I started my career in a customer-facing role, and since then, that's what I have been doing, and probably that's what I know the best, probably. So I think anything to do with customer and the experience part, of course, plays an important role. So it's definitely an interesting topic.
Absolutely, Viku. Thanks for that quick introduction, and I'll circle back to you because we have a lot to ask you.
Sure.
Next, I would like to also welcome Avinash Lele to the discussion. So Avinash is the Chief Growth Officer at Harbinger Group, and he is an industry veteran with over 3 decades of experience in serving prominent CXO and board level positions at leading companies. At Harbinger, Avinash is responsible for crafting successful strategies, directing, guiding, and managing sales teams, and optimizing the end-to-end lead to closure process. Avinash is an alumni of the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania, where he studied advanced management, and Northwestern University, where he studied corporate law. He's based in Princeton, New Jersey. He works from there. And Avinash, welcome, and please share with us what makes you interested in this topic.
Thank you, Anuj. Thank you for that kind introduction. Well, welcome. I mean, my belief is that experience is at the heart of growth. When I was leading organizations when we were winning deals against larger, well-entrenched competitors, it turns out that the way the organization or the brand was experienced, and I'm now trying to apply this not just to B2C, but even B2B. Experience is really at the heart of a winning strategy. More and more companies, large companies, are beginning to understand that it is difficult to drive sustainable, profitable growth. And with nimbler digital native competitors and with peer pressure and peer competition, they are now going back to what is known as experience-led growth strategy. And they're putting CX at the heart of the way they think. And that excites me about this whole topic. The interesting thing about the customer experience is that in order for you to get it right, you also have to drive employee experience. So this learning aspect that we are talking about it goes beyond customers, employees, and the ones who actually engage with and experience the product or service. So it's it's an all-encompassing sort of theme. So happy to be here.
Absolutely, Avinash. Welcome again. And Avinash, in fact, let me start by asking you the first question for today. why should CX be at the center of an organization strategy, right? And who else better could answer this other than you who come with a 30-year experience?
More and more research is showing that there's a strong correlation between companies' CX and CX ratings and revenue growth. So CX leaders have, on an average, twice the revenue of CS laggards. So the new research has almost established this as a one-to-one correspondence. So for companies to thrive, delivering best-in-class customer experience is becoming key, and therefore CX is back on the front burner, which means that you will have to look at a culture of customer centricity in building sort of targeted capabilities within the organization. And what outperformers have done is that they have enabled all their employees to clearly articulate the value of CX in their organization. So tools like agility, agile development, which we all know of in the world of software and software development, and design thinking are sort of examples of two tools or approaches that best-in-class companies or outperformers are encouraging and pushing within their own organizations. The other interesting aspect about CX is that most companies forget that their installed base of customers can be given a brand new experience. And research shows that 80% of the growth in larger organizations comes from the installed base of their clients or customers. And if you lose one customer, you have to gain 3 new customers to make up for that loss. So that's how important retaining a customer is. And experience is at the heart of retention. So that's the logic and that's the flow that puts CX back in the center. So, that would be my view as to why, we should look at CX. Again, share of wallet, net revenue retention, repeat purchases. These are all sort of ways in which you can assess just how well your CX strategy is working. In fact, it is seen that an improvement by 20% in customer satisfaction drives up the ability to cross-sell by almost 15 to 20%. And the share of the wallet goes up between 5 to 10%. So all points, indicators point to the centrality and the importance of this.
Right.
Anuj.
Thanks, Avinash. Thank you so much. And you gave a perfect understanding as to why at a strategic level CX is important. Quite a few points that our audience would have noted down. So now that we have a fair understanding and a good understanding rather of the strategic value of CX, I would like to invite Viku, who is well placed to discuss the enablers of CX. How do we actually do it in an organization? As I mentioned earlier, with content as the first part and technology as the second part. So Viku, we would like to understand, kind of how do you make CX an actual reality? And if you could share your experience of designing content for customer education.
Yeah, I think perfect question. I just take a step back. When it comes to education or when it comes to learning, usually the people had a mindset, or learning was always attributed to internal folks in the past era. But this customer education thing is a new paradigm, I would say, which people understood, and by now everybody understands that that's important. But at times, you would see that organizations use the same content for an internal versus external, and that doesn't work. And that's the importance of understanding that, the content cannot work. There are quite a few reasons behind it. And then I'll speak about, the specifics of customer education. So in an internal, you have the levers, you have the control to push a content to an employee by various means, by your managers and stuff. But in your customer segment, you don't have that lever. It's all open out. It's important for that organization, for the customers to consume the content, because if they do, they would learn and they would take those informed decisions, either it be in terms of purchasing, or if they are already a customer, they would basically learn more about the product and well adopt and ultimately lead to a better retention. So now what is important here is you need to engage with your customer in that in that content itself, right? So how can you make it engaging so that once somebody has come to your content, they are glued to it and they stick to it to the end of it? Because you don't have any other means of basically nudging or enforcing them to take that content or consume that content, which is your requirement, other than making that content itself engaging. So I think that's one of the key things that you would see that's important. And if you look at any successful customer education, case studies, you would see that engagement is very key. Now, how do you do those engagements? There are various ways. You can ask those right set of questions to get where the particular customer is in the journey of learning that content. Probably it's repetitive, and then tailor that content according to what that person needs. There is gamification and stuff as well, which keeps you engaged, motivated. So all that is I think quite important. So again, the heart of it is customer education content cannot be flat videos or those flat contents. It has to be engaging, interactive, and you have to have those bells and whistles to keep that end user glued to that content and drive to that entire content's journey and consumption. So I think that's my experience and that's my take on this.
Thank you very much, Viku. So it is certainly a food for thought, as we understand from you that organizations have limited to no control on customers to ensure that they consume the learning provided by you, unlike it is for internal employees. And that is why it becomes absolutely necessary to make content engaging. So thank you. That brings me to my next important question for you, Viku. About the CX technology ecosystem. So, and you're the best person I know that to talk about it, because this is what you do day in and day out. So we would like to understand because it's not one software that is used to achieve CX. It's a combination and a variety of software. It's an ecosystem. So please share your thoughts and recommendations on these lines.
Yeah, again, when it comes to the customer experience ecosystem, it is not it's not a funnel. It's a kind of an agile model where it starts from how you engage with the customer to acquire, then to engage with them during their tenure or during their life cycle, and then how do you retain, or how do you get those analytics to understand to better retain. So let's now put that in the perspective of learning, right? When somebody is coming to your brand portal, they are browsing through your products. How can you help them with the product knowledge that you are trying to sell? And also, based on that, how are you able to take that data and insight to tailor your further sales strategy? So it's just a lead, right? People click, come to your website, you got a lead,
right,
and then you blast emails. That's old school, right?
Right.
Now you need to understand what the user is interested, probably which product page did he go to, what content did he consume, and then tailor a message or tailor those campaigns very much personalized to the journey that he has already has been on your site or your interactions that you call. right? So that's important. And how do you do that is by connecting to the broader technology, right? So there are case studies where you see that, based on the learning behavior, because learning is very important, right? People are spending time on learning. That can give you a key insight what they are learning. That can give you a very key insight to what is the customer's interest. And if you can tailor the right content and the right message, you are one step ahead, right, to acquire the customer. So again, how do you do that? It starts from probably somebody trying to search your product or some technology. How do you lead them to the right product, right resources, right content that he's able to get to first? So first you have to bring him, right? Then comes the consumption. So when he's consuming, you need to know the behavior, you need to get all that data, and then how do you use that data to basically wow or convince that this is the right product for him. So that's where that lead generation and the campaign tools come into picture. Now, the second part is, I have acquired a customer. I'm already a customer. How do you engage with me to ensure the product adoption, right? And that's important, because if you talk about retention and if you talk about the churn, these are all lagging indicators. I think the leading indicator is adoption, right? If you have the right adoption and people are adopting your product, the chances of they being your detractor is very less. One of the major reasons, if you look at surveys, is I'm not happy with the product is the thing. And why they are not happy with the product most of the time is, they're not used to it. They don't like the way it is, or they don't know the way it is. So, you can actually with the customer education customer strategy, education strategy, you can actually solve a lot of these problems, at least to the ones where they don't know how to use it, and probably they are becoming your detractor, right? And also probably to even do the change management, probably they are coming from a tool that they're used to, and because this is just a new system that they have to maneuver through, they just don't like it. They're not. So if you can tailor those contents, and again, why would they take that content? Make that exciting for them to take that content. Give that incentive to take that content. That's where probably those gamified ways of rewarding comes in, and you can basically connect to those reward systems. Something like, if you take certain amount of training, you get some goodies, or you get some something that you can offer in return. That can be one of the drivers. So again, you can engage, you can connect to those systems and make it more engaging. That's how you engage. Now, the last part comes in, which is how do you retain?
Right.
Now you've got all this data, so you know the customer, how you acquired the customer, to how they are performing, they are what they are learning. All this data becomes gold mine to you. That's when a lot of focus now is on retention with this macroeconomic situation. So that this analytics becomes really, really crucial. What you call in today's customer success world is the customer health, right? What is customer health? The customer health is the analytics that you gain from different data points, like what is your product usage? What kind of features are they using in your product? Or what kind of learning they are doing? That is also an actionable insight that probably they're having trouble understanding your product. So you get a lot of insights, and then you can have a proper retention strategy around it. So again, you can't look at the customer journey in different these pillars separate.
Right.
You have to look at it as a unified strategy. And if you know the customer from the day you basically interacted, I'm sure you would be successful. And I think that's the biggest challenge, that how do you do that in a more unified way, and you are able to wow, you are able to get actionable insights, And if something is not working, you're able to reiterate in the right time to basically retain. So I think that's overall, and that's what at Adobe, I think we do. We have got the entire suite of products, starting from acquire to engage to retain.
Can you touch upon those, Viku, as well?
Yeah, I think if you look at lead generation and campaign, we have got products like Adobe Marketo, Adobe Campaigns, that helps you track all of those and tailor those right messages based on the different data. You have got in the engagement, we have got the Adobe AEP, the customer journey optimizer, which basically gives you all the data insights. We have got the Adobe Analytics as well, which tells you a lot about all the interactions that you're having. The Adobe Learning Manager, which sits right in the center of the learning, that's the learning management system, which integrates to all of these ecosystem products, and can make your learning much more powerful by touching from how do you acquire to engage to retain.
Absolutely, Viku. And a question that comes to my mind here is, so what I understand is it's a journey of a customer. So if I'm looking to buy an farming equipment, so I might ask my friends for more information, or in a case I might go to Google and search for it, right? So right from the time the search result shows up, from the time I click company's website or a third-party place where the products are displayed, so it is important to engage the audience from that stage itself. That's what I understand.
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Right. And does changing the industry make a difference? For example, a banking industry CX ecosystem versus a manufacturing industry, does that change, and how do you manage that?
See, from an customer experience perspective, I would say the overall theme remains the same. Of course, the way you engage with different customers in different verticals might differ. So just to give you an example, probably if you talk about just the learning, because we are talking about the learning experience in this context,
right?
If you go to a healthcare, their customer education is probably very different from probably an IT product company, right? Because their customer education is mandated in somehow, right? If there is a ultrasound machine, a company selling an ultrasound machine, or even those operation theater machines, that's something very important, right? They even cannot recognize the revenue without training those doctors and the HCPs using those products. So they are somehow mandated, but again, it's to their advantage as well, right? The way they train their customers, because in healthcare also, what the other thing happens is people do a lot of research before making the purchase, and if you can help them with the right content, that can also help you in those buying decisions. Exactly. So yeah, I mean, healthcare is a bit different, but I think that the underlying theme remains the same. Of course, there are strategies tailored to the industry and the vertical, because as I said, there are different needs, there are different mandates, the audience is different, the outcomes are also different. So yes, there is, but I think the underlying theme, again, if you look at these three verticals, acquire, engage, and retain, they remain the same. It might be a bit different in how do you acquire, how do you engage, and how do you retain.
Got it. Perfect. So that clarifies the message, Viku. And thank you so much. That gave a lot of clarity. And as I said, who else better than you? And the term customer health you used is worth exploring for our audience. This is something new and interesting. So thanks again. I would like to now invite Avinash again to our next question. So Avinash, we covered at a strategic level why an organization needs to think about customer experience and customer learning experience, why importance should be given. We understood from Viku, how do you design your content and what technologies you need to execute that. Now we have done all this. So how do we measure the results? How do we measure the effectiveness? We would like to know from you.
No, great question. And by the way, that survey that we did,
yes,
the first, the one that the option that won the maximum number of 60% voted for that, is really the mapping of the purchase journeys, isolating touch points and factors that drive experience. So people are getting it right. I mean, you have to invest more in parts of the company that will move the needle on those interactions that yield, measurable results. So it's how do you measure the impact of your CX interventions is actually at the heart of a lot of research and analysis. So I'm going to just speak to you, using some of the research that Forrester has done.
Sure.
And we work, as you know, very closely with Forrester at Harbinger,
Right.
And they have done some nifty research on the customer experience index survey. It's the CX index survey, and they're essentially figuring out how driving business growth through customer loyalty, to increase customer loyalty. I mean, what is the correlation? What's the impact? And they have tried to isolate it to potential business impact per person. So looking at levers like retention, which is the intention to stay with a brand, enrichment, which is buying more from a brand, and advocacy, which is recommending a brand. And they have what they did was they looked at the biggest companies in a variety of sectors, because it was easier to measure the impact with a larger data set. And if you go to the next slide, they found sort of three patterns of relationships between customer experience, CX, and business impact. And it's quite interesting. So by the way, there is a almost one-to-one correlation between CX and growth. So if you look at the graph on the left, with higher CX index score, there is almost a linear relationship vis-a-vis growth. So and they have then looked at what are good and bad experiences. So if you improve bad experiences, there is an improvement in growth, but it plateaus and it tapers off, which is what is the lesson that they have gleaned in the second one, graph. And you can see that credit card issuers are beyond a point. It's like the law of diminishing returns. So that's the correlation there. But if you improve already good experiences, it continues to grow, and there's an exponential relationship between good to great, so to speak, and which is what airlines, luxury car manufacturers, upscale hotels, investment firms, they've all sort of used to their great benefit. And if you go to the final chart here, what they've tried to do is figure out the impact of improving the industry's average CX index score for the average US customer by 1 point on a 100-point CX scale. So what is the per customer upside that you are likely to benefit from in improving your CX score on the CX index? And it's amazing. Again, they have done their research on the larger companies, which almost define the market. So if you look at large auto manufacturers, just an incremental increase of 68.33 into the number of car users, and you walk away with a 1.2 billion in uptake. If you look at hotels, same sort of logic. You walk away with 374 million. So what's really interesting is how one is able to have a direct sort of impact on revenue, and this is profitable revenue, because if you have incremental revenues, you're also sort of adding to your bottom line because you're leveraging the same assets to deliver more. So there is a financial sort of sophistication and superiority in thinking like this. So, and fundamentally, if I think we are now living in an experience economy, frankly. And companies both large and small have understood that CX is key. In fact, there is a new term that is now being brought into usage. It's called ROX, which is return on experience, and they are now beginning to measure ROX, and they're saying ROX is the new ROI. And I think it's probably true, because more and more companies are providing things like getting immediate help, maintaining control, personalization to all its sort of customers. So the ability to have an intimate interaction with brands has never happened like the way it is happening today. So that's the lesson here, Anuj.
Yeah, thank you so much, Avinash. You very well explained how a marginal increase in CX leads to high revenue numbers. So it would be safe to say that customer experience is not an expense, but it is an investment that pays dividends. And all these, Avinash, by the way, are top line revenue, right? And without increasing the bottom line.
Actually, yes, top line impact, which has automatic improvement in. So it's like sweating assets. You're sweating them more. I mean, another way of thinking of financial assets. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Avinash. So that kind of brings us to the conclusion, of this Power Hour. So I would like to quickly touch upon, what we can conclude with. So we understood from Avinash in the beginning that the strategic aspect, and that customer learning experiences, when designed right, can actually drive your business growth, right? Then Viku sort of gave us very insightful, information around the content design and the technology aspect, of CX, and basically using content and technology, how scalable, personalized customer education, can be created, and how technology can be used to design the end-to-end CX. And at the end, Avinash kind of linked CX to value. I mean, CX to monetary value. How designing CX can speak directly to business benefit in terms of revenue. So I'm sure that our audience found this this session, this Power Hour, interesting. And with that, I would like to bring in my colleague Vikalp once again and request him to tell our audience a little bit about Harbinger and what we do.
Okay, thank you very much, Anuj. I mean, the overall discussion, I must say, had me glued on my seat. I mean, I got to learn so many different things. And before we move to the questions posted by our attendees, I'd just like to share with our viewers that Harbinger is a global technology company that builds products and solutions that transforms the way people work and learn. For 30 years, we have been involved alongside organizations that are in people business, serving the human resource, e-learning, digital publishing, education, and high-tech sector. As a group company, we are a team of 850 plus professionals, which includes almost 150 plus e-learning producers. Our pedigree in e-learning and building next generation products has fostered a culture of continuous learning. We do experiment with new technologies easily. We easily embrace new ideas like future of learning, future of work, learning and automation, and creatively apply them to address the business challenges faced by our customers. Harbinger has a custom learning, custom content development offering, which includes content transformation, custom learning, learning design, nudge learning, and gamification, AI-based solutions, and accessibility, translation, and localization services. Not to leave behind our product development offering that has product management advisory, experience design, product engineering, product analytics, and integration and automation services. With that, I will open up the session for question for the questions posted by our audience, and okay, now I have the first question. So, okay, are there any specific verticals where customer education is more critical than others? Viku, I'll request you to take up this question if that's okay.
Yes, sure. I think this is the same thing that probably Anuj was also asking. Yes, as I said, there are, of course, I would say, let me answer this a bit differently. So customer education is a bit new paradigm, and there are different verticals and different maturity of this projects, or I would say this understanding the need of customer education, how it is placed. So that's something which probably a few verticals have been pushed early because of their needs and their compliances requirement. And there are few probably who doesn't directly engage that way. So they think, it's probably not that important, or they don't focus much on. But more and more, I think most of the industries do acknowledge and are looking at customer education very seriously as part of their customer experience strategy as a whole, not as a separate initiative.
That makes a lot of sense, Viku. I have another question, which says, can we have an example on how agility helped an organization to drive better business performance? Avi, can you take this up for us?
Yeah, sure. Sure. So, when I was speaking, I was talking to you about how companies are promoting agile thinking, agile development practices, design thinking, in order to build a culture of CX transformation. I mean, it starts with something like that. In fact, I'll give you two examples of how this thinking was helpful. One, logistics company, when its business environment was looking to go down, they thought hard to figure out how their customers, so it was a B2B2C thinking that allowed them to come up with a brand new strategy on how to delight their install base, and there's some research done on that. So that's one CX example. The agility example, which I want to talk to you about, is something that I personally experienced in my previous company. We were dealing with one of the largest life insurance companies out of Scotland. And they wanted to understand agile development and agility. And what I discovered was that they had used agile development as a part of their operating culture. So even when they conducted meetings with us, they used to stop the meetings after 15 minutes, go on a huddle, come back and continue, give us some quick sort of inferences, lessons. And at first I thought this was, an odd Scottish sort of cultural behavior. And when I probed further, I found that their CEO, who was the erstwhile CIO of their organization, had taken agility to a brand new level and made it a part of that company's operating culture. And what I discovered was, if you recall the 2008 financial services meltdown, this was one of the companies that came out unscathed. And it seems to me that a large part of it had to do with the fact that it was responsive, it was agile, and it had taken agility to a brand new level. So here's another, I mean, that I think was a terrific learning for me, and I wanted to share it with all of you.
I totally agree. I mean, there are some small changes and they can turn around the future of a company. So,
correct.
Okay. In the interest of time, I know we won't be able to take up all the questions. I'll take one more questions from here. And for other questions, we will respond on an email after this part of our session. So rest assured, all your questions will be answered. So last question that I'll take up is, what is the key while designing a customer experience project for a customer? So will you like to take this up for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the key is understanding your customer need and how can you make a unified experience. That's the key, because experience, when you talk about experience, and if you have that experience, a very good experience in one vertical, and when you touch the other part of that same organization, you have a very good experience there as well. But if both of them are not connected, overall that experience doesn't work. So I think it's all about that unified experience. How can you build that unified experience? I think that's the key. You would see a lot of organizations, they basically would do customer education in a way that, okay, you come here and then you have a brand website where you go to find the product, but then you are being redirected to a different platform where you have to sign up again to that separate thing and then learn, right? Probably there's a lot of drop in that transitioning experience itself, and that doesn't work. That's just one example. So I think there are many, but I think if I have to pick that word, that's that unified experience. How can you do this learning education experience as well as part of your overall CX strategy? I think that's the key.
I'll totally agree with that, Viku. This brings us to the end of our session today. I'd like to thank all our panelists for answering the questions. Again, I mean, for all the unanswered questions, we will be emailing you the responses. All the attendees are welcome to connect with our panelists directly on the LinkedIn. We have shared the LinkedIn profiles on the chat window right now, and you can directly connect with them and talk to them. And again, I mean, thank you, Anuj, and my panelists for this wonderful discussion. I'm sure we all are going back with some good food for thought today. I'll also like to thank our viewers for joining the session through Zoom, and you have been an amazing audience. Thank you once again. Take care and have a good one.
Thank you, team.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Bye-bye.